Earlier this morning, we spoke with President Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, all about the situation in Syria.
Thank you for having me.
So Syrians are understandably celebrating the fall of Assad, but the rebel group that ousted him is a U.S. designated terror organization, and its leader has a $10 million bounty on his head. Is it really a better alternative?
Well, first, anything is better than a regime that has brutalized and massacred its people over 50 years. There is an opportunity to build something significantly better going forward. But as you know, there are risks, too. There are risks associated with the possible resurgence of extremism and terrorism in Syria. And we are trying to attend to those risks immediately, including airstrikes that President Biden ordered yesterday against ISIS, so that they can't take advantage of the situation. We're going to work with all the groups in Syria. And as President Biden said yesterday, the rebel groups, including the ones that have been designated as terrorist groups, have actually said all the right things. Now the question is, what will they do to try to bring about a better Syria?
Jake, you mentioned that is the question. You're right about that. You mentioned U.S. military action against ISIS yesterday. It raises the question of whether the U.S. was involved in any way, shape, or form in this last two-week offensive that brought the rebels to power.
We were not directly involved in the offensive that brought the rebels to power. We did not direct it. We were not supporting it. We were not part of it. But we have been part of a broader effort in the region and around the world to weaken Assad's backers. Russia is weaker, Iran is weaker, Hezbollah is weaker, and part of the reason that Assad has fallen is because of actions that President Biden has taken both in the region and with respect to supporting Ukraine. So the U.S. role in this was not direct in helping the rebels, but it was certainly present in setting the conditions for Assad basically to be left without the support of his major backers and common adversaries of the United States and Israel.
One additional risk, Jake, is the chemical weapons factories that Assad controlled prior to his ouster. Do we know whether those are secure at this hour?
Well, what we know is that through work that we're doing with other partners in the region, we are trying to make sure that those chemical weapons do not fall into the hands of anyone who would use them against civilians, against our partners in the region, or against us. Obviously, in this business, there are no absolute guarantees, but what I can tell you is that we have a high priority on making sure that we are protected and our friends and, frankly, Syrian civilians are protected against the use of chemical weapons.
And, Jake, we're in that in-between period when it comes to American leadership. I'm curious, did President Biden brief incoming President Trump about the situation in Syria? And are you confident that the new administration will hold Assad accountable?
President Biden and President Trump have not spoken directly since these momentous events have unfolded, but I did spend a considerable amount of time yesterday briefing my successor, incoming National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and our teams working on the Middle East, both the outgoing and incoming teams, are in constant touch. So there will be a smooth transition. We are absolutely committed to making sure that happens. And the Trump team is looking at this in a serious and professional way. So my hope and expectation is they will carry forward the effort to ensure our friends are stronger in the region, our enemies are weaker in the region, and critically, Tony, America is kept out of war, which we have successfully done over the course of the past year.
You know, Jake, maybe we can end on a hopeful note regarding the missing American journalist Austin Tice. He disappeared in 2012 at a checkpoint in Damascus. Yesterday, President Biden said the U.S. believes he may still be alive. What do we know, and what's it going to take to get him back?
Well, we have been in touch through Turkey and other countries in the region to people on the ground in Syria, including people now in position in Damascus to track who's coming out of these prisons. And what we have said is we will do what is necessary working with you to get Austin Tice safely home, including putting out a reward for anyone who is able to provide us real information so that he can be safely reunited with his family. The president spoke directly about him yesterday. We are committed to reuniting Austin Tice with his family, and we're going to work with people in Syria to make that happen.
We can all root for that. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Jake, thank you very much.
Thank you.